Now, Stoneman Douglas students returned to school Wednesday, exactly 2 weeks after the mass shooting. Parents and children in the community are still grieving as student activists and lawmakers look to improve gun safety. Adriana Diaz brings more to us from Parkland, Florida.
Today, Parkland father Andrew Pollock appealed directly to state lawmakers.
I want to be the last father of a murdered kid that's ever in this country. That's it.
His 18-year-old daughter, Meadow Pollock, was killed at Stoneman Douglas High School.
What do you think it's going to be like walking through the front gates tomorrow?
Carlos Rodriguez and Lorena Sanabria will join more than 3,000 students returning to classes tomorrow for the first time in 2 weeks.
Just this morning, I was like, at this time tomorrow, I'm going to be in school. And that hit me. So, yeah, it's going to be a process.
When they arrive, they won't have a clear view of Building 12, the crime scene. It's now obscured by a fence plastered with posters showing support.
Going back to our normal lives is going to definitely be hard for me.
There's a code red going on.
The last time 17-year-old Rodriguez was at school, he captured students running to take cover.
The last time you were at school was when the shooting happened. How are you feeling now going back?
It's not going to be the same hallways. It's not going to be the same smiles. So it's definitely going to be rough just to be in school and just to know that that's the place where 17 people died.
They'll be greeted by Principal Ty Thompson, who made a promise to his students.
Eagles, I promise you, I will hug each and every one of you as many times as you need, and I will hold you as long as you need me to for all 3,300 of you.
Tomorrow will be a half day with extra security on campus.
There will be counselors on campus. There will be extra security on campus. Does that make you feel safer?
Yeah, no, not really. With all the security and all the guards and everything, I think it's going to make it harder for us to heal.
Grief counselors will be in every classroom that's missing a student who passed away. The principal here spoke to the principal at Columbine and got advice. He suggested changing the sound of the fire alarm so it's less likely to trigger students' memories from that day. Errol?
That is just incredible. And Adriana, we heard from several students in your story. They're all anxious about returning to school Wednesday. I'm just wondering for you, what stood out most from the conversations that you've been having with dozens of students there from Stoneman Douglas?
Errol, over the past few days and the past 2 weeks, every student I've asked if they're worried about going back to school says yes. But most of the students say back to school they will go because they feel that if they don't go back to school, that they let the perpetrator here win, that they have to show that with that strength, with that determination, that they have to keep moving forward. And for the 17 lives that were lost, they have to continue on and push for the change that they want to see.
And what more can you tell us about the type of extra security and counseling that will meet and welcome the students when they return?
Well, there'll be at least a dozen officers in uniform on campus pacing around, so it'll be a visual aid to students to know that they are secure. We spoke to a teacher today who told us this will be the safest school in America, and we're going to tell our students that, and we want them to feel that. In terms of counselors, they're going to have counselors not just from Parkland, Florida, but from around the area here at the school, ready to speak to students. There's going to be a room with the counselor so that if a teacher calls down saying, you know what, I can't do it, I need some help, please bring a counselor up. They can go up to the room. It'll essentially be like a hotline. And as I mentioned earlier, there'll be grief counselors following the schedules of the 14 students who died to make sure that none of those classrooms are without professional help should they need it when they're sitting there without their classmate.
And what's incredible is that as they try and get their lives back on track, they're still pushing for change. Some students met with Paul Ryan on Tuesday in Washington. Florida Congressman Ted Deutsch spoke to reporters after that meeting. Let's just listen to what he said.
The students have been pretty clear throughout that they're interested in an assault weapon ban. They're interested in banning high-capacity magazines, and they're interested in universal background check and closing the gun show loophole, among all of the other steps that can be taken.
But did the students get any reassurance from the speaker that he might be willing to bring up any of that legislation?
The speaker talked about trying to do things that will actually be helpful. From the perspective of these students, I think it's clear that for them what will be helpful is the opportunity to have a debate on these issues on the floor of the House.
So, Adriana, how do these students plan to keep up their activism now that school is back in session and that they've faced even, resistance nationally?
Well, the one thing we know is that these are smart kids, and they're able to keep up with their classes. This is a school where a lot of the students are taking AP courses. We met a student last night who's taking classes at a local college. So they're going to use everything that they can to keep moving their agenda forward. And they all have one of these, a cell phone that they're going to be using to engage with social media to keep the momentum alive. They are tweeting all day long. I follow several of them, and they've even started social media campaigns to push forward the Never Again movement, which is how they call it. And they are garnering support. They have financial support. They are partnering with organizations that are established, and they're planning a march nationwide on March 24th, and they plan to march on Washington.
And I think that's why so many people say that despite the high number of shootings, they say something is different this time around. Adriana Diaz in Parkland, Florida. Thank you.